Good morning and welcome everyone to the Moneycontrol live stream. You are watching Markets with Santo and CJ in association with M.Stock by Mirae Asset. Well guys, where to start about today? After the Freaky Friday, we have on our hands a Black Monday. If you look at the, the market at this point in time, it's not looking a pretty picture. I hope you guys have read all the motivational quotes and the Warren Buffett quotes during the weekend so that you are prepared for what is up ahead. If you look at the Nifty futures on the Singapore exchange at this moment, they're indicating almost a 250 to 300 point gap down opening for the market. Wall Street plunged dramatically on Friday after a stronger than expected US inflation data for the month of May, just ahead of the FOMC meeting later this week. And if you look at some of the Asian markets as well, they are also looking quite weak at this point of time. Well, the fear is just one. The Fed will have to push the US economy, the world's largest, into a recession, it seems, to fight the monster of inflation at this juncture. And it is not looking good for the bulls out there, Santo, unfortunately.
And you still seem pretty upbeat.
I will always be upbeat. You can always. वो कहते हैं ना हार के जीतने वाले कोई बाजीगर कहते हैं. So I believe in that philosophy.
Well, let's see if you're still cheerful at the end of the day. Yes, things are looking pretty bleak at this moment, and now there are concerns that there could be margin calls also, because given the way the stock prices have corrected so sharply. CJ, I think there'll be a lot of temptation for people to try and average out their positions, because I think most people still don't think that we are into a bear market. They feel that this is just one of those dips and the market will bounce back, because that's been pretty much the trend over the last few months since March, when you saw the market rebound very strongly from 15,761 levels. But I would say, CJ, one needs to be very, very careful about what one is buying in this market, let alone average the positions. Even if you're averaging the positions, I think go for those stocks where the story is still intact and there's some semblance of an earnings visibility.
Well, Santo, you said it. It seems like, of course, there is some skepticism out there, but I don't think anybody thinks that, oh, this is just one of those dips out there. I think there is now a general acceptance that this is a grind. It may not be a true blue bear market, but this is clearly a grind, and therefore stock picking is going to be your best trend at this point of time. Now, if you have conviction, go for it, man. Who's stopping you, right? I believe that if you believe in a stock, you should definitely go for it. You should not be bothered about inflation and all, because 5-10 years down the line, you will not be remembering these headlines, right? So for me, that is the mantra at this point of time. That said, let's now check out some of the stocks that me and Santo believe will be in action today. Starting off with Santo.
Delta Corp. Now the stock has fallen almost 40% since April.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing here is, CJ, it's puzzled both technical analysts as well as fundamental analysts, and the fall has been very, very gradual. Now, sentiment for the stock took a beating sometime in May after, there were reports that the government is thinking of a higher GST rate on both casino gambling as well as online betting. Now, why people are worried is that now the government intends to tax the entire revenues on the transaction revenue, not just the winnings. That could be a severe hit to the earnings of online companies as well as casino companies, online gaming companies and casino companies. The bigger worry for bulls in Delta Corp is that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who's been holding the stock for a very long time now, kind of a mascot for the bulls at the counter, he trimmed his stock, trimmed his exposure recently, and that has really unnerved the other people who are still invested in the stock, because he's been one of the longest investors in the company so far. So at this point, very few things seem to be going Delta Corp way. It's looking weak, definitely on the charts, and even if you look at the earnings, CJ, there's been a lot of volatility in the earnings, and that could partly explain why over the years the stock has not delivered the kind of returns that people expect out of it. This despite the fact that some of the biggest and the best names on Dalal Street had taken exposure to the stock some years back, and most of them, almost all of them, have reduced their positions to zero.
Well, Santo, the volatility in earnings is very easily explainable by the 2 years of pandemic. I mean, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on a contact-intensive sector like casino and gambling, and I feel that it still remains a very, very strong play on the reopening theme. Yes, cases are rising in Maharashtra, but this does not seem to be a general nationwide phenomena, and therefore also there is not enough appetite even in the government circles to right now go back to those days of lockdowns etc. So I feel that earnings visibility is going to keep on improving from here on as tourism picks up. We have already seen, full houses in Goa in the month of May and April, which are off season apparently. So I'm not really concerned there. I'm also not concerned about Mr. Jhunjhunwala trimming his stake, because he has just trimmed his stake, right? He has not totally cut out the entire holding. It does not indicate that he was bearish on the stock. If he was bearish, he would have probably just booked his losses or booked his profit and gotten out altogether. He's just trimmed the stake. Probably he has seen opportunity somewhere else. He wants to utilize the profits from Delta Corp there. So I would not read too much into it. As far as the business is concerned, see, they recently added another casino in Goa, which is definitely going to boost their outlook on the sales front, clearly. When you talk about the GST thing, it's also not something that has been new. It has been always been there. Now, the key point for me here is that whether it will affect volumes or not, or sales or not, right? Now, let's think of an industry which is parallel or similar to casino gambling. Smoking, right? The cigarette industry. We have seen how the prices of a cigarette has gone up. A stick of cigarette has gone up over the years, but that has not really dented volumes that much for ITC. I mean, in fact, this year is supposed to be one of the best years in terms of volumes for ITC. So casino gambling is also a similar sort of an industry. The price elasticity is very, very inelastic. Demand does not really truly be affected by price. So I feel people who want to go gamble, they will go gamble, Santo, and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, I think this stock still has a lot of value in it, especially after the correction that we are seeing. Another stock that might actually be on the radar of a lot of the so-called value investors out there could be RBL Bank, Santo. I feel I'm a little, I would say a little excited about what is happening there. The lender has finally announced a new CEO following RBI's approval for R. Subramaniam Kumar. Now, we know RBL Bank has gone through a lot for the past 3-4 years, ever since the IL&FS crisis. Santo, I mean, the entire asset quality issues, a lot of loans that were not declared as asset quality later turned out to be bad loans. So those sort of concerns have been there, but I feel that the bank probably now will need a course correction, and I think the new CEO would be an answer to this. And we all know when turnaround stories happen, price gains can be very, very rapid and the momentum can be very solid. And I feel that there is an opportunity here for me to go make a big, turnaround money on a turnaround story like RBL Bank.
Well, CJ, if you noticed the reports that analysts have put out on RBL Bank, the general tone is that, this appointment is some kind of a disappointment.
Oh,
because the market was looking for some high profile name who could come and just turn around the company. And the new CEO's, the mandate that he has handled in the past, does not really inspire much confidence. That could be possibly because of the banks.
Come on, Santo. We should not be hungover over the past, right? I mean, everybody deserves a second chance or a third chance, right? The past is never the guarantee of future performance.
Well, okay. That said, the fourth quarter numbers were a bit of a surprise. The stock had taken quite a beating, and you saw a brief bounce back. Most analysts were still bullish on the stock, feel that the stock is oversold, and probably just because of the valuations bit, you could see some kind of a bounce. There is some bit of upside there, but otherwise, this is not a stock that you can take a slightly longer term bet on.
I feel, Santo, that the bank has been trying to get its act together. Of course, whatever has gone down the past 2 and 3 years has been pretty ugly, especially when it comes from a private sector lender. You do not expect such things from private sector, I mean, yes, Bank has been there, but generally they are supposed to have a better reputation and better procedures. So I feel that probably now with this new CEO appointment, RBL Bank can finally turn a page, probably a dark page in its history, and look forward to a brighter future, and that is what I will be betting on.
Well, I think the market will wait for some time. They'll see the new CEO strategy before taking a call.
Well, market can keep on waiting, Santo.
Well, Hero MotoCorp is the third stock on our watch list today. Now, again, two-wheeler has been a bit of a, a sad story rather. The stock has, most stocks have taken a beating, but Hero MotoCorp finally things seem to be turning around. In a interaction with IFL, the company has sounded pretty upbeat, and according to IFL, the company is seeing demand turn around both in the rural as well as the urban segments.
Interesting.
And the dealer inventory has now come down to just about 6 weeks, and the company feels that July wholesale sales could be higher than retail sales because of dealers stocking up on inventory for the festive season. Now, margin pressure again was something that has been a cause for worry, but there also there's some favorable winds blowing now. Steel prices have corrected fair bit, so the company could get some bit of relief there also. stock has been among the underperformers, but now on things could be looking up. So MotoCorp is one stock that I'm bullish on.
Well, Santo, Hero MotoCorp has been bullish for the past 3 years, and we all know where the performance has been. So I would take the management's commentary with a pinch of salt at this point of time, given that the stock is probably back to levels of 2013, 2014 at this moment. If you look at the commentary and what the commentary is suggesting and what the actual data is suggesting from retail dealers out there, there seems to be a little disparity. I mean, you have seen the FADA data come out, and it's clearly showing that there is still no signs of revival in entry-level segment in the two-wheeler space, and that is the space where Hero MotoCorp is the king, right? And that space is still struggling. And of course, why not? I mean, rural demand being distressed the way it is at this juncture, yes, the monsoon might change it around, the higher food prices might change it around, but that is still 6 to 7 months down the line. We still need to see evidence. The company could be pushing inventories, it is possible. That's why you're seeing wholesale number probably improving. But at the dealer end, it does not seem like there is still demand out there for those inventories to continue to remain the way the wholesale sales to remain higher the way they were in the month of May. So for me, that will be a little bit of a concern. Plus, they also lost market share recently to some of their rivals in the two-wheeler segment. So that is also something that the market has really taken cognizance of, and you can see that in the performance of the stock over the past 2 to 3 years. Apart from that, the EV story. Now, in the EV space, Hero MotoCorp, all the Hero Electric is there and it's trying to make move right now, but it has been a late entrant. And there were, of course, general concerns about how Hero is approaching the EV space vis-a-vis some of the rivals like TVS Motor and Bajaj Auto. Although I would say that Bajaj Auto itself has also been falling behind. TVS Motor clearly remains the stock to go in when you're talking about two-wheeler EV. So for me, at this point of time, Hero just looks a bit lackluster compared to other two-wheelers, especially somebody like TVS Motor, and I would probably avoid the stock at this juncture.
Well, much of it has already been factored into the price. That is where, you need not always look at the forward story. Sometimes the valuations itself are quite attractive. I think it's in the price right now, and the stock could perform well.
Not for me. Maybe for you, not for me. One stock that does make sense to me is Sona BLW Comstar. The company has been has had a great story since the time it's listed. Of course, it's one of the proxies for the EV revolution or the electric vehicular revolution. Now, analysts believe that the company is clearly capable of emerging as one of the biggest winner out of this transition towards EV from internal combustion engine. If you look at the recent moves that the company is making, they have now also said that they want to get into the two-wheeler EV space, which could expand the revenue streams of the company. So far, they have been largely conducting themselves in the four-wheeler and the CV space. So clearly, this is one good trigger. Plus, ICICI Securities, which has recently initiated coverage with a buy rating, they believe that a premium valuation of the stock Santo is justified because of the better than expected growth profile that the company has.
Well, on that note, a quick look at the market.
Yes.
As expected,
it's a sorry start. It's a very sorry start.
It's opened with a deep cut, more than 2% down. The Nifty is down to 15,857. Advanced to declines clearly in favor of the bears.
Yes. If you look at Santo, some of the big stocks that are falling, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Bajaj Finance, HDFC, Hindalco are the biggest losers at this point of time, down about 3 to 3.5%. Among the gainers, there are actually none at this juncture. If you look at the Nifty 50, there are no gainers at this juncture on the index except for Cipla. Cipla is the only one odd one out, holding out higher by 0.8%. If you look at the advance and decline, it's quite weak, Santo.
Well, no surprise really there, and I think this trend could sustain till the end of the day. It's been a
actually we are falling more now. We were down. We opened with about 300-point cut. We are now 360 at this point of time on the Nifty.
I think a key level that bulls and bears both will be watching eagerly is the 15,761, which is a low touch during the Ukraine invasion, and if that level goes, probably we could see some more selling.
Yeah, and this is Santo. This is the third time we are attempting a hit towards that level in the past 3 months. So it will be interesting to see whether it's third time lucky for the bears or not. If they do, then the expectation is that the index could head towards the 14,500 point mark, which has been a lot of people's swing low estimate for this bear market. So it will be very interesting to see. But if it does bounce back, then what? If it bounced back, last time we have seen it only could come back 800 points. So let's see how that plays out for the rest of the evening.
Well, Federal Bank is the last stock on our watch list this morning. Now, the stock has been among the relative outperformers in the banking space. The fourth quarter numbers were a bit of a disappointment because net interest margins were low and so were treasury income. But now with interest rates rising, analysts are positive that Federal Bank should do well. Most importantly, the bank's asset quality has been improving, and analysts feel that most of the pandemic related stress has already reflecting, and it's also got a strong deposit franchise. Besides this, there is the sum of the parts valuation, where some analysts feel that the value of FedFina and IDBI Federal Insurance has not been fully captured in the stock price. Okay. So this is a stock that I would be keeping a watch out for. The bank is expecting a 15% increase in credit growth, and the stock has been quite resilient over the last 1 month when you saw huge selling in the banking space.
Well, Santo, its resilience is, I would probably say, is its Achilles heel at this point of time. The stock has been a great performer over the past 1.5 years, ever since that entire banking turnaround story happened around Jan-Feb last year. We have seen Federal Bank being among the better performers, along with others like ICICI Bank, SBI and Axis Bank. So for me, probably if you have a resilience right now, it also means that you may not have much to offer on the upside going ahead. And therefore, I feel most of the positives have been factored into the stock. The only few concerns for me would be the gold loan book growth estimate that the lender has given. About 25% is what they're expecting on a year-on-year basis in FY23. I feel that could be a bit optimistic given the way competition is ramping up. I mean, we have seen commentary coming in from CSB Bank, Manappuram and others that competition is really heating up in the gold loan segment, and I feel that growth estimate could be a little optimistic on the lender's part. Apart from that, it is lending quite aggressively at this point in time. Most of its lending growth story is coming from the agriculture and the SME space. Now, in an economy which is slowing down, lending aggressively to small businesses could be a risky bet, Santo, as you are well aware. I mean, at this point of time, giving loans could be very easy, but will collection be that easy? We will have to wait and see, especially as the economic slowdown picks up pace.
Well, that's a bet. I mean, that's how banks make their money, CJ. They need to be aggressive.
Yeah, but you have to also be conscious of the fact that where you are headed, right?
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets with Santo and CJ. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and please do share your comments in the comment section below.
And do follow us on the social media links at the bottom of your screen. And for your rest of your financial news, I don't need to say it, guys. Stay tuned to Moneycontrol.com and the Moneycontrol app. We will catch you again live at 3 p.m. with all the day's action. Till then, try to have a great session as much as you can. Hopefully, do not blow up your accounts.